Well, my research is about the history of earth science. I'm a historian of science, so I've always been interested in the question of how earth scientists deal with the fact that the earth is complicated and messy, and people need to know if global warming is real. People need to know if Vioxx is safe. People need to know if genetically modified crops are going to damage the environment. These are all really important questions, and we don't have enough people, in my opinion, looking at these questions in a sort of fair way. So a few years ago, I got interested in the history of climate science. And I partly got interested in that because of work I was doing here at UCSD, where I had gotten to know a lot of the climate scientists here at the university and was learning about their work and what they were doing.
As Naomi got involved in our signature problem of climate change, and she began to learn about the great work of Roger Revelle and Charles David Keeling, she began to get interested in the public reception of the whole climate change science. And from that, there emerged a very great article which compared how the scientific community views climate change, almost unanimous, and how the media were presenting it, which they presented it always as a problem that was controversial in the scientific community. And she wrote a great article that indicated, after a careful study, that this was not so. The scientists were pretty unanimous.
And then I realized that actually there was not just a big gap, but that the media was really getting it wrong. That if you talk to climate scientists, there was no question in their minds that global warming was happening, that it was caused by human activities, and that if we didn't do something about it, pretty soon this was going to be maybe not a catastrophe, but definitely a serious problem that required attention. So I wrote a paper about this. It was just a short paper, one page, which was published in Science magazine, in which I just said that. I just said, look, scientists are not arguing about this. We can argue about what to do about it, different question, but the scientific facts are not in dispute among the experts who do the work.
A short article has had this tremendous influence and ended up, of course, being a slide in Al Gore's traveling slideshow and in his film, An Inconvenient Truth.
So that's what I've been working on, and that's what I've been trying to communicate to the public. And because this issue is so important, at a certain point I realized this wasn't just something to write up in academic journals in the sort of standard way that a professor would, but that it was really important to try to communicate this broadly. So I have written some academic articles published in peer-reviewed journals, but I've also written a number of op-ed pieces. I've given a lot of talks on the topic. I've been on television and the radio, this sort of thing, and I testified in Congress, which was a great honor and exciting and fun. So that's really how this comes to be a sort of community outreach project, because of the importance of the question for the community, and really the importance, I think, of the community, of people understanding what this debate is really about, because I think that a lot of people really don't know that.
I think that Naomi is someone who has figured out how to take ideas from the history of science and apply them to a real-world controversy of incredible significance in a way that has turned out to matter a lot.
It's very, very gratifying to feel that you've done work that matters to the world, and it's particularly gratifying for me because most people think of history of science as being a pretty obscure subject, pretty academic. It's that capacity to go deep, to really pursue leads, to really try to sort out complicated and difficult questions. Nobody else is doing that. The press can't do it. The public don't have the resources or the training. So it's a special privilege that we have the capacity to do that kind of work. And I feel really, really lucky to have found this field that's both incredibly interesting and important to society.
Most historians study history, but it's very rare that one gets a chance to make history. And Naomi Oreskes made history, and that is a very great achievement.